What is up, everybody? I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're with Hill City Paranormal. And tonight we have Patrick, the founder of Paranormal Society of Savannah.
What's up, Patrick?
Hey,
So everybody give Patrick a warm HCP welcome. I was telling Patrick before the show got started, Savannah, Georgia holds a very, very, very big place in my heart.
Absolutely.
I think it's, well, I don't know if I want to say second to Gettysburg.
Ooh.
That's so hard because
they're like neck and neck.
Yeah, we frequent both places so much, but Savannah is a different experience for us. Just the atmosphere, the ambiance that you get, I guess, so to speak, when you step into Savannah, Georgia, the feeling that you get, and I'm going to let Patrick take the lead here in a second to explain to everybody, but the feeling you get when you step into Savannah is almost like you're stepping back into time, and you can feel the presence of the spirits that reside still and are very active in Savannah. So I'm going to let Patrick take the lead and give us a little bit of history on Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, so, Savannah's one of the oldest cities in America. It was founded back in 1733 by James Oglethorpe, and he created all these cool squares that you see downtown now. Back then they buried them wherever they could. So a lot of where the squares are, where these buildings are, near River Street, Broughton Street, and all those areas. The reason why those buildings are so haunted is because those were huge cemeteries. And then as Savannah started progressing, they started building on top of the graves. Of course, they said that they moved the majority of them, but a lot of them were paupers' graves and things like that. They didn't have a lot of money, so of course their relatives didn't have money to move them. So to this day, when they're doing construction down there, either on Broughton Street or Bay Street or wherever, they're constantly having to stop because they find bones and bodies of people that's been buried there. So it's got a wild history. You got to remember, we've seen every war that there was pretty much that took place in America. So you've had the Civil War, of course, with Sherman coming, and we were fortunate enough to where Sherman spared our city, but there was a lot of other things that went on there. One of the bloodiest battles of the Revolutionary War was fought in Savannah. So, there's, and of course, all the, the dark times with, yellow fever, and of course, slavery and all those bad things that go along there. So, Savannah has a lot of negative history and a lot of bad things that's happened to it that's kind of plagued us. But other than that, Savannah's a beautiful city, and we can't change history of what happened. I wasn't there, you weren't there, nobody was there, but all we can do is move forward and try to help promote these things. And one of the ways is through paranormal and passing down those stories so that those memories of those loved ones, the most terrible things that ever happened to them, doesn't get lost in the sense of time.
Right. And you hit it. Savannah is gorgeous. So our first trip down to Savannah rings so fresh in my mind. First and foremost, on a lighter note, outside of the paranormal, I did not know that you could get a drink from a bar and walk down the street. So when the guy asked me if I wanted a to-go cup for my drink, I was like, hell yeah. Like, of course I want a to-go cup. But, as an adult, like just walking along the river with a drink in your hand is just a whole vibe down there. Yeah. And then, the music and the live, everybody's so lively.
Oh, yeah. The main reason why you can walk around with a drink in your hand is because of the Irish, because, we like to have a drink every now and then. And, Savannah was a big Irish town. And, that was one of the reasons. But other than that, it is a tourist town. And, they're going to do it anyway. So, yeah, we're one of the few cities that allows that. So,
right. And tourism out there is a huge thing. So we frequent Savannah in the summertime. I know we're crazy. Everybody's like, why would you pick Savannah in the summertime? Because it is just the first year we went, it was so miserably hot that we didn't even exit the hotel until like 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
We just couldn't. We couldn't. It was too hot. Now, we went last year and the weather was perfect. D Down said she wants a cranberry juice and vodka and a big old cup to go. You know what? Yes.
And you can do it there.
You can do it there.
Yeah.
If you're cheap like me, you go get you like one of these big thirst buster cups and fill it up for your own liquor and walk around downtown. And
Exactly. Because I did have to hit the margarita or the frozen margarita bar that's down there that everybody says hit there. Totally overrated. Totally overrated.
Yeah.
But to the paranormal side of things, there was a coffee shop that I wanted to go to because I saw it on Ghost Hunters. They had done the square, and then there's a coffee shop and like an oddities shop right next door. I can't think of which square it is, but of course I went in there and I was met with a little bit of hesitation when I asked the owner. Of course I ordered a coffee, and then that's the place that you discovered that
I got the quiche.
The quiche was to die for in that coffee shop. Yeah, but I had to ask the owner because Ghost Hunters had actually investigated that coffee shop. And so we were met with a little bit of hesitation. And I told him, I said, we're not crazed like tourists. I just want to know what kind of stories you have. And, so then he was like, oh, okay. And he said, I'm sorry. A lot of people come in here after that episode aired, literally wanting to investigate. And I said, look, I just want a coffee and just want to hear a good story, and a lot of the people though that we ran into down in Savannah welcome the paranormal with open arms.
Yeah.
And that's weird to us because we're in Virginia. And so we're in the Bible Belt.
We're in Lynchburg.
Yeah.
The worst place for paranormal.
It is so taboo where we're at. Like
you don't liberty.
Yeah, you don't talk about it. Every paranormal investigator conjures demons. We're all crazy and, draw pentagrams and do salt circles and play with the Ouija board. And I try to explain to people and try to educate them, which we started hosting public investigations out here, and it's kind of, becoming a little more welcome, so to speak. But everybody in Savannah that I spoke to, and we jumped on one of the ghost tours, the trolley ghost tour, where they take you to the
it's one of the houses.
It was the house with the dolls. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
All paranormal houses have a doll room.
Yeah, it's the big doll room. And then they end at that like factory on River Street, and they have the big presentation. That was great. Then we hopped on a public investigation at the theater, and that was interesting.
Savannah Theater.
And yep. And so we personally didn't get a whole lot the first time we went to Savannah Theater, but the group that we were with was very large.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of hard, to investigate.
Yeah. Because the more people you get, to me, it's always been the more noise you're going to get or distractions, and you're not going to get a good investigation because people are always, I don't know. There's just too many people, and to me, I think the spirits, there's too much energy in the room or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just I've always had bad luck if it's been more than 4 or 5 people with me. When you got 8 or 10, it's like, oh man. But yeah, if you got something like that where those guys are making money, it's you're going to be hard pressed to get anything because they're trying to sell as many tickets as they can, and you're not going to really get the experience that you want.
Right. And I'm glad you touched on that because we've talked about that on previous podcasts, the amount of people in a location and the fact that a location can or cannot be over investigated. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel that a specific location can be over investigated?
Yeah, I do. I think, there's nothing wrong with the places downtown Savannah. I'll throw a couple of names out there. Everybody talks about the Sorrel Weed House. Very active, yes. But I think it's kind of been over investigated only because it's a big money maker for them. So, there's a lot of people that come through there. Same thing with Moon River Brewing.
Yep.
There's active spirits. There's a lot of activity there, but you're not going to get as much evidence as you would if it was just you and a few others. But when you got, 8, 10, 12 people with you, you're not going to get a whole lot, just because of distractions and too much noise, somebody burping and farting or whatever. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just, you got to remember, it's a tourist thing. So they're there to make money. So they want to get as many bodies as they can in it. But yes, other places being over investigated, those that aren't, pay to play, can be as well. Some of them are, such as some of the cemeteries around Savannah. It's free. Now, you're not supposed to, right? A good buddy of mine, Shannon Sharp, he does Bonaventure Cemetery tours, and he's awesome. He was one of the first that was on TV, everything, called Scariest Places on Earth. I don't know if you remember that. He started that show. It had Linda Blair as the host, and it had the little lady from Poltergeist. Remember her?
Oh man, what is that woman's name? I love her. Go to the light, Carol Ann. Yeah. Yes, I love her.
So if you Google that show, Scariest Places on Earth, you'll see that was back in the late 90s, early 90s. So that was before Zach and all this other stuff. But he went out and was doing and filming and paranormal investigating out there. And then it got real popular. And the city was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So he had did an episode based on little Gracie, little Gracie Watson.
Right.
Which I got a great story about her later. I'll tell you about. But
I gotta hear it.
That's why they erected the fence, was because of him and his show, because it attracted so many visitors then. So things like that can be over investigated. It's kind of hard sometimes, but you just never know. That's why people say, why do you investigate at night? I'll tell you why I do, because ghosts don't sleep. Is number one, it's cooler, right? You're not going to sweat to the oldies. And two, it's much quieter. So that's why I like doing it. They can say whatever they want about why they investigate during the night or whatever. To me, it's going to be active daytime or nighttime. So.
True. That is true. I absolutely agree. Ghosts don't have a watch on. They're not like, well, okay, 3 p.m. I'm coming out.
Yeah. You guys paid for an hour and a half tour. You got your money's worth. Time to go.
Exactly. I'm going to put on a show for the next hour and a half. Then I'm going to go on lunch. I'm with you on the investigating at night, especially in a location like Savannah, Georgia, where it is so hot, especially in the summertime. I'm sure winter is phenomenal. Which we swear we're taking a trip out there in cooler weather, but somehow we always end up in Savannah in July. But we investigate at night for the same reason. It's quieter, less traffic on the road, especially if you're at like a location that has high traffic. And I feel like at night your senses are heightened. Yeah. A little bit better. I had somebody ask me the other day, why do you cut off all the lights? And I said, because when you cut off the lights, it heightens your other senses and helps you to be able to hear things that you normally wouldn't hear, during, say, the day or a brightly lit room. But
what I tell people is close your eyes. It's like that, that way your senses are, you're exactly right with that. It does heighten the senses.
Right. And D. Downs had a good point. I believe spirits are all around us and don't have a designated time that they're active. You are correct. Lamb said, I'm sleepier at night. Yes, true. But this is why paranormal investigators always say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, paranormal investigators will pack snacks. Snacks keep you up at night.
Yep. And, I'm not supposed to have it because I get kidney stones a lot. But I pack my Mountain Dew to help me stay awake in a lot of them, especially if it's kind of a dead location. You want to give it every minute you can because you never know when something's going to happen. But yeah, staying awake or, getting that EVP and you're like, oh, this is cool. What was that? Was that a growl? And it's like, no, that was my stomach.
Yeah. That without fail, somebody's stomach will always growl. Like you said, somebody will burp or fart, especially if you're with your team. We're all comfortable around each other. It is what it is. Yep. Hello, Ron. How are you?
Shout out Booze Paranormal.
Yep, Booze Paranormal. And I've got Bedford Paranormal in here. Ronnie Anderson stopping in to say hello. D Down says she's had activity during the day hours, as have we. Anybody who knows us knows we frequent cemeteries. And out here, the cemeteries are only open dawn to dusk.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that we've gotten has been during the day. Let's see. Lamb said, my backyard. Is that a shit ghost? Unless you can, don't come.
Shiha?
I don't know. Hey, Carla. All right. Going back, though, you said you had a good story about Gracie. So I, of course, being the tourist that I am, I had to go see Gracie. And we had to actually drive around the cemetery a couple times because of the amount of people that were like stuck on her grave. And I was like, I just want a she ghost. Lamb corrected me, a she ghost. I just wanted to get a picture of Gracie's grave, which I've got phenomenal photography of. But aside from the placard that's put up, what is your story with Gracie at Bonaventure?
So little Gracie, was a highlight of Savannah. She was at the Pulaski Hotel. She would meet and greet, her dad was the owner, manager of the hotel. And, a lot of people came to see her and whatnot. And long story short is she died of pneumonia when she was like 6 years old. And her father wanted the best person to create this statue of her likeness. So that's why that's out there. But my story comes with, I used to work for a company downtown. But before I had worked for a company, for that company that was stationed there, I worked for a different company, and the Pulaski Hotel turned into the SNS cafeteria way back. So a lot of the workers would say, hey, this building's haunted and stuff. And this was in the 90s. And I was like, no, really? They said, yeah, down in the basement, it's really cold down there, and you'll see this little girl downtown. Never knew who she was. Fast forward to 2016, I started working downtown again. And we were in the old Pulaski Hotel. I'm not going to say the name of the company I used to work for, but they had us down in the basement. And people say, hey, man, all kind of stuff crazy goes on down here. And I was like, really? So I started doing some research, and I found out that that's where little Gracie was from. And her bedroom was downstairs in the basement. My office, that is the location of where she died. So there would be all kind of things happening. I would always be like the last one to leave around 7:00 at night. And I would have to walk fast so I could cut the lights out, because you would hear a little girl giggling, or you hear little footsteps, or the lights would cut out on me, or the door, my office door would shut, and open back up. Little things like that. But one Easter, I came in work early, about 6:00 in the morning, and I put out like 20 little plastic Easter eggs, had them numbered and everything with little gifts, like chocolate bunnies, whatever. They were all found except for one. And I knew where every single one was because I mapped it, checked I checked the cameras and everything. Nobody went over there to get it, and it wasn't there. Several days go by. I still had that chocolate bunny on my desk. And I say, Gracie, if it's you, you can have this chocolate bunny. All I want is my egg back. And left for that night. I came in the morning. I was one of the first ones, and the bunny was gone, and the egg was sitting on my desk.
Shut up. That is so cool.
True story. And
I love it.
So everybody was freaking out in the office. There was probably 50 of us down there. But then when I was kind of let go, I went downtown and was really doing some research on Gracie. And I found out the reason why is because she passed away on Easter Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
So I was like, that makes sense. So after that, we would make her own little Easter basket.
That's right.
Every Easter for. So, that's my story about little Gracie. We did get a good EVP out there one time when we were just messing around, and you're not really supposed to do it, so I don't encourage people to do stuff you're not supposed to do. But,
right.
When you're the only one out there, you got to take a chance to try to get, an EVP or something.
Sure.
But yeah, we got a small little EVP that's at high. It sounds just like a little kid. You know, and then when we said that we were leaving and you know, we'll see you later, and she said bye, you know, so we got a
Wow.
high and a bye. You know?
Very cool. Very cool. I love it. I love that the Easter egg came back. That's awesome. And I love the fact that you guys would make her own basket. But I do get you on the let's hurry up and cut the lights off thing, because kid ghosts are the ones that kind of those are the ones you got to run quickly and get the lights out. But something about if I was by myself and her giggling behind me, I don't know. I'm a paranormal investigator. Nothing scares me. But if I'm by myself and I hear giggling and footsteps behind me, I'm running.
Yep.
But I imagine there's a lot of personal experiences that you have just being in Savannah, aside from Gracie.
Everywhere. You know, I've lived, you know, in the Windsor Forest area. I've lived in the Georgetown area. The Georgetown area is where Grove Point Plantation is located. Grove Point Plantation is one of the sites when Sherman was coming to town. One of the doctors tried to get away from Fort McAllister, and his property was Grove Point Plantation. He was shot and he died right at his steps. And then they burned the house down and everything, but they redid it. As a kid, I grew up since I was 12 years old. We would sneak onto the property sometimes because we always heard about how haunted it was and everything and little weird things. And then later on in life, we heard about Blackbeard. His mistress was one of the ladies there in the late, you know, early middle 1700s and everything. So there was always some sort of stories, but we were able to go and check that out. And Georgetown used to be an old rice plantation during the Civil War as well. And then there's a lot of Native American mounds out there. And growing up as a kid, there was nothing to do back then, you know, in the early 80s, you know, so it was a lot of fun finding these things, but a lot of things would happen whenever we would camp out at these little places. There weren't a lot of homes out there as well, but the apartments, the townhomes that we lived in was really active, and that was the site of old burial grounds. And I had this little dog, and I love scary movies. And one of my favorites at the time was Cujo, and I had this little Pickapoo dog. He was real small, and I called him Cujo. And I was on restriction one time for bad grades, and I had to stay inside. And I was the only one inside, but me and my dog. And my dog would do the stare into nothing thing, where he would kind of slow motion walk, and I'd, what's going on, you know? And he'd start to kind of growl. And right next to me was these bifold doors, these like wooden bifold doors that where the washer and dryer was. Something picked him up and slung him to the bifold doors and busted through them. And I got out of there. And my dad came home and was like, "What are you doing outside?" I was like, "You know what? I'll take the ass whipping. I'm not going back in there." But there was always something running up and down the stairs, lights flickering on and off, chairs moving, glasses falling off the counters, things like that. There was lots of activity out there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And it flung the dog.
Yeah, it slung my
dog.
little,
Okay.
my dog. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I think I was 14 or 15 when that happened. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Mr. Welsh himself. I'm assuming this is Dad.
Yeah, that's my dad. He's on my team as well. The
All right,
basketball.
Dad. Yep. Tell him about the basketball.
I'm not sure about the basketball, but then again, there's so many things that's happened there and everywhere else. I mean, in Georgetown was just crazy haunted. You know, a lot of people think downtown Savannah, but you got to remember on the outskirts is where all the plantations were.
Right.
So, you know, all the plantations weren't downtown Savannah. That's where all the markets and everything was. Oh yeah. The basketball. Yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah. There was nobody upstairs at all. And I had a basketball in my room that would roll down the stairs. Yep, and nobody would be up there, but we could never figure it out. And
there was somebody up there.
How many times I put it up there, it would roll down the stairs.
Wow.
Yeah, because the outskirts between Savannah is Richmond Hill, and of course they were all rice plantations, and then they were known for their bricks because of the clay. So the Savannah Brick Company, was started here as well. So, yeah, lots of workers died in a lot of these processes too, from transporting, because the only way to get it to the markets a lot of times was the canals. So a lot of them would get attacked during the canals and things or whatever, and die, Indian attacks and things. So yeah, Savannah's got a lot of history that people just think downtown. It's like, it's not just downtown. Downtown's just a moneymaker for a lot of the tour guides and stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Going to Savannah is definitely not cheap.
No. And, I'm not knocking them guys. They got to make a buck. But only a few that, I've been on just about every tour. I've in multiple times. And, you just kind of keep your mouth shut because you're like, okay, this is how they're making their money. But you're just like, God, you're so wrong. Like, oh, that's not true. Just from doing research.
Right.
They're just hearing stories that they were told to sell to the people. And to me, that's what hurts paranormal investigators in general, because here you've got, a tour guide telling a story of what's haunted and whatnot. And it's fact or fiction because you've investigated it 10 times and it's nothing like what they're talking about. And it's not the person that they're mentioning, but you just let them do their thing. People think we're tour guides. A lot of times they hit us up, hey, we want to go on a tour. I'm like, we're not tour guides, we're investigators. So
investigators are your best tour guides, though, because we actually know the facts.
That's right.
We have to know. Yeah.
I tell you something, I'm a big believer. I tell all my team members, do not fake evidence. Don't lie. Don't make anything up. Because here's the thing. They're not going to say Bob and Lisa fakes evidence. They're going to say Paranormal Society fakes evidence. And then that's going to discredit the whole team, not just you. And I tell them you got one time to do it and then you're done, So don't do it. It's easy to do. And I'll tell you, there's been TV shows that wanted us to do stuff. And I've told them, no, we don't do that. One of them was just here. Who was it? Destination X. With Josh Gates and those guys, and they wanted to hand me a script, and I'm like, what is this? You're not scripting anything for you, but we want you to act scared whenever we're not doing it. Then they wanted you to change your stories and stuff, and it's like, no, because it didn't happen like that. And I'm not going to tell a lie just so you can get viewers.
See, it's funny you just brought up acting scared. We actually got accused. We don't post any evidence, and we don't post evidence because we don't want to deal with the drama that comes with posting evidence. And I've got remarkable evidence on camera that I know if I post it, I'm going to have to deal with all the bullshit that comes with it. Excuse my language, but we are open podcast. But we got accused of faking evidence because I gave some evidence to a local, well, not local, but from Virginia location, and they thought it was great, so they posted it. Which is great that they posted it. And we got accused of faking evidence because our reactions weren't what people thought it should be. And I thought it was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life was you guys didn't react to it. So how is that real evidence? And I'm thinking to myself, well, what were we supposed to do exactly? It's 4:00 in the morning and something happened. Were we supposed to all jump up and down or get scared? I'm not sure. So it's funny you said that, act scared. Are we supposed to, I mean, what are we supposed to do as investigators?
Yeah. It's like,
we've been doing this. I mean, even my 15-year-old daughter has been doing this since she was 7. Yeah. So she didn't act scared. She thought it was cool that it happened, but what are we all supposed to do when things happen? And I think that's part of the one thing that hurts. I believe the TV shows help, but they hurt at the same time. What we do, and they help because it's opened more people up to what we do. Yeah. But it's hurt because of these fake reactions. They think that every investigator is supposed to jump up and down and run around the room or get possessed every time something happens.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was funny that you brought that up.
Yeah, man. I just happened to notice Brandy, I think, said hi or whatever. Is she still there? Yeah,
Yep.
Brandy's still watching. She's still watching.
Brandy, are you still here?
I love Brandy. She was on 28 Days Haunted.
Oh, really?
Awesome. Yeah, she's awesome. I've seen her, and then she's investigated a place down here in Savannah. I don't know if y'all seen the movie A Savannah Haunting. She investigated, but we investigated it before the movie came out, and then we went and investigated it so he could add some stuff to a documentary he's doing on his house and everything. But yeah, I just wanted to give Brandy a shout out because I love 28 Days Haunted. Or to me that was awesome. The thing with her leaning. I'm sorry to get sidetracked like that, but just wanted to let her know. But no, I appreciate it, man. When you guys come back to Savannah, just hit us up, and if we're here, man, we'll try to schedule something. There's lots of places downtown. A lot of people want to be haunted, and I wish it would be haunted, but it's just not there. And it sucks when you go to tell them, hey, listen, there's nothing here. But then you've got a lot of people, and a lot of places downtown that go, we don't want to be known. We want to stay anonymous and stuff like that. So then it becomes hard with sharing evidence and things like that. And they go, well, where is this if you can't tell us where it is and stuff? So it's hard. But like you guys, I don't post a whole lot of stuff. Now, I might go live every now and then when I'm on an investigation just to give them a little taste or something. But it's got to be something really, oh my God, like this is crazy, And I've got so many files of clips, videos, everything that I've not posted. It's just because there's so much. I'm getting off topic, but I'm gonna tell you, man, I gotta every podcast I try to say this to new paranormal teams or teams that are out there is keep your team small, because I screwed up and I had about 40 or 50 team members only because we were one of the only paranormal teams in Georgia that has actual insurance. So when we go on an investigation, we're covered. That helps us. The main reason was so that we could get into these places that are really hard to get into. They don't want Tom, Dick, and Harry in there. So if you tell them, listen, we abide by your rules, we'll sign contracts. I got a COI for $2 million. A lot of times that'll open their eyes. Okay, these guys are serious. But the paranormal drama that is running rampant, Jesus Christ, it made me almost quit. So, good Lord, man. And I'm not trying to get off the subject of Savannah, but
we can stay there.
You are literally answering all of our questions before we can ask them. So you're doing great.
I normally bring it up. So
D Down said $2 million. Yes, $2 million policy.
So to go back for a second, and I'm going to come back here because you brought it up, and I'm glad you did. The fact that D Down said we look at each other in disbelief when there's activity, yes. And D Downs is my mother, in case anybody wants to know. Her house is very haunted, by the way. But it's all positive entities there. And she had weird things happen, things that I never thought I would see in person. And when it happened, we all kind of looked at each other like, did that just really happen? Like, can you do it again?
Yeah.
But the drama, oh my God. I'm new to the mainstream, I guess that's what we call it, side of paranormal investigation. I've been investigating Ed Odell, Howie, ASPS in the house. What's up, brother? I've been investigating for years, but before I actually went public with it, because again, I'm from Lynchburg. We have Liberty University here, which looks down on everything we do. So I never had talked about it or anything. And when I got into it, Howie here is one of the first people that I really met and talked to in this field. He warned me about the paradrama is what they call it. And man, after I went into started meeting other teams and talking to people, I didn't realize how much drama was in the paranormal field. Like, I'm like, good God, we're all grown. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm like, we're not in high school, but the thing is, I get it. I was excited, and these people were really excited as well. And I thought, hey, I want them to share a lot of the experiences that I'm having. We can do this together as a team. And then, good Lord, if you've got the wrong, I had an A team, a B team, and a C team. And the reason why we had those teams was to make you want to be a better paranormal investigator. It wasn't to put you in some sort of social class where you weren't going to be invited, but we wanted you to put in the work, study, right? Study the equipment, go over evidence. You had to have X amount of time for doing this and this and this. So we wanted you to be a better investigator. We didn't bump you up just to bump you up. And, you let a few people in like that, and then they start talking to the other members, and let's start our own group, blah, 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 whatever. And it got out of hand, man. And people were kind of leaving and stuff, which I was glad. I don't like removing anybody from the team unless I 100% have to, because I try to be a really nice guy. I want everybody to have fun. I want them to have fun. That's what it's about. Get them out of the house, learn some history, hang out with some people. But we had people that just, I don't know, man. They
sometimes the trash removes itself from a team.
Yeah. So they let
take itself out, and that's even better when that happens.
Oh man, I think I got about 50. I went live, man, because after about 8 months of listening to about 20 of them's crap, once they brought my wife into the picture, I was like, oh no. So I was like, now you did it. So I had to go live and tell them about themselves. And was that the right thing to do? No, but I didn't do it on the team page. I did it on my personal page. Yep. A lot of them were, my friends supposedly. And they were like, even though you said, that you wasn't representing the team, we're out. I'm like, good, bye. But since then, zero problems out of any of those people, so, but now we got about 15 people. I say about 12. So it's great. The little team we got. My dad, who was just on, he'll be 70 this year.
I love it.
He's a big supporter. He does a lot of stuff. Miss Sharon, me and her's been building haunted house in Savannah for the past 20 years. We're Shriners, Freemasons, and I've been running the haunted house in Savannah for 20 years. This is the first year I'm kind of giving it up because I've got too much on my plate. And, we became one of the top haunted houses, but Miss Sharon is 73 years old, and she's been investigating with me for 3 years now, and she can't get enough. When's the next one? We just got back from Spooky Empire down in Orlando. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but we went down there just to, have fun. And, it's a lot of fun. Hey, Ed. But, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your haunted house. Like, is this like during the spooky months? Because I am a haunted house fanatic.
Yeah. It's in October. We do every Friday and Saturday night. We used to do like some weeknights and stuff like Halloween, but the lines are so long. And, we went 20 years ago when we first started. It was just to make a little bit of money to help pay for the buildings and grounds and things, because a lot of people don't understand Shriners, a lot of money comes out of our pockets. Those little cars you see and everything, that comes out of our pockets. A lot of that money goes to the hospital, but then you've got to have a little bit of money to run the building. You got to pay for lights, you got to pay for water, you pay for upkeep of buildings. So we created the haunted house to help pay for those other necessities. And then we could still donate money to the hospital and stuff. But we did. If you say this money's going to hospital, 100% has to go. But if you say it's for the buildings and grounds and you got some left over, by all means, donate. But it got to where 3-hour waits. Like most haunted houses, and we're just mom and pop. We build everything. We don't have all those expensive money props that you see that a lot of them have, like Netherworld up in Atlanta and all those guys, which are awesome, by the way. Montrose up in Dublin and all those places are awesome. But we try to do old-fashioned scares. I was born in 72, so I try to do the 70s, 80s type horror, little scares.
We have to go.
To me, that's just the best scares to you. Somebody just looking at you across the room, and the next thing you know, they're behind you. That, to me, that's more scary than some $2,000-3,000 animatronic going off, and you're going, oh well, that's cool, yeah.
Well, I have nothing more than to go to a haunted attraction and you buy the tickets, which, back when I started going to haunted attractions were like $10. Now they're like $25 to $40. Okay. Nothing more than going to a haunted attraction, paying my money, waiting the 3 hours, and then you're in there for 5 minutes and you didn't even get scared.
Yeah.
And you're like, that sucks. And I love jump scares. I love them. Howie said we have to go.
Well, Howie says he knows you, Pat.
We're going. Yeah, Howie.
My God, it's good to see you. I haven't spoke with you in years. I'm trying to think. Howie
the Hitman Odell. All Seeing Paranormal Society, ASPS.
Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. It's slowly coming back. Yeah, cool. Well, anytime y'all come down, man, I can get us into the haunted.
Well, now that he mentioned it, Howie and I and Hill City was supposed to take a little trip to Savannah. We were supposed to plan a trip to Savannah.
Yep.
Howie we just did an investigation with Howie not too long ago here in Lynchburg.
Yeah.
Ooh. So we need to do a little investigation in Savannah, because Savannah is one of my favorite places on this earth.
Yeah, man.
Well, I have a confession. We may not be going to Savannah this year. We go every year, but we decided that we were going to try to switch it up and check out because we're history buffs. Yeah. So somebody had told us that Charleston, South Carolina had a bunch of history, and I've never been there. So I was like, let's check that out. This one has been sitting there going, I don't know. I think we might change our hotel to Savannah. I think we might be going back to Savannah, which it's his choice anyway, because it's his birthday week that we go. So we may end up back in Savannah, which will be like the second week in July. So I don't know if you're going to be in town.
Well, the cool thing is Charleston, that's our sister city. They're only like 2 hours away. So they're not that far,
Well, that's why I told him. I said, if we get to Charleston and it sucks, we could just check out and drive to Savannah.
But I will tell you. So I owned a coffee shop, me and my dad, and it was called Haunted Grounds Coffee, and we opened it in Midway, Georgia. And you talk about a Bible Belt. That's a Bible Belt. Where people would come in on Sundays, in their Sunday suits, and we were like, what's going on? They're like, our preacher was preaching about y'all today. We just want to see where all the Ouija boards and stuff is. And we're like, well, we don't have that. So I said, what church you go to? And they tell me. So I would get on their Facebook page on Sundays and say, bring in your church program for free coffee. Oh my Lord. The preacher would get so mad over that, and
I love it.
But it just didn't work. After a year, we were like, let's get out of here. We're in a crazy little Bible thumping town, so we got rid of it. But it was Haunted Grounds Coffee. Our coffee was hauntingly good, and we had a little.
Oh my gosh!
We had a little haunted museum where people had given us objects and stuff, and so it was a lot of fun. We had fun though. But you live and learn,
Yeah.
But and people are like, what? Man, you should open this in Savannah. Savannah is 10 times the rent.
That is true.
You go from $700-800 a month to
$3,000-4,000.
It's like, oh man. But so what I was going to tell you is, we do a lot of. So how I started kind of getting my team members was because it was really hard getting people and stuff and talking to them. They seem cool. You take them, and then they're not from Earth. A lot of them. So
we just dealt with it today.
We have one. We call this case the case of the demon ass, right? Because this guy was like, man, my house is haunted, blah blah blah, and wouldn't quit and was sending us 100 pictures a day. So just to kind of get him quiet, we were like, let's go check it out. We treat every case the same. We do a lot of residential stuff. So we're over there, and after 2 hours, there's nothing going on. We're trying to sneak out the door. Like, we're going to give you a report, right? We'll let you know what we find. And he's standing by the front door, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. and he cuts on this fan, and next thing you know, oh man, the smell.
Oh God.
It smelled like Bigfoot's ass, man. It was crazy. It came across and it hit me, it hit my brother-in-law, and it hit my dad. And my dad was looking at us, and we were like, mm-mm. And it was the client. And as we were trying to leave, he just kept letting them rip, man. Like, and it was like on and on and on. And we were like, oh my God. So we call that the case of the demon ass, because and he was wanting to go on an investigation. We were like, no, man, we can't let demon ass go with us. So,
Oh my God, he was just standing there farting for no reason.
Just farting. And, you know, a lot of it was like, it was like the worst smells in the world.
David said he releases the demon. Yeah, he was trying to, but apparently it wasn't all coming out.
That's my brother-in-law, David. He'll tell you, man, yeah, we call him Flavor Dave. Flavor Dave.
Flavor Dave. Love it. John Sullivan in the house. Frederick.
FPRI.
Yep. Fredericksburg Paranormal. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you.
Man,
I did want to ask you though, and I told you
You said,
Friday.
yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Flavor Flav. All right. I asked you off air, and I've got to ask you publicly. And I know this is your worst question and you hate it, but I got to ask it anyway. What is the like your most favorite place you've ever investigated?
In Savannah or anywhere?
Anywhere.
All right. So
I want to hear about Savannah, but you go all over the place. So
I'll tell you, there's two places in Savannah, and then there's one place somewhere else real quick. So the two places I love to investigate, one of them is Grave Face Museum. I don't know if y'all ever been there?
Mm-hmm.
So it's owned by Ryan and Chloe Graveface, and they are awesome people. They own Graveface records and tapes. They're like me, everything Halloween. You know, I'm born the day before Halloween, so I love it. But they are 100% into serial killers, anything spooky,
Oh, I love it.
true crime. So next time y'all come to Savannah, you got to check out Graveface.
wait a minute, I got to write this down.
So Graveface is on Factors Walk on River Street. It's like behind, it's like in the alleyway. That's how you get to it. But you pay your admission, right?
You're not like psychic medium that you walk up the stairs.
Oh no, not her. No, that's not her. That's not them. This is Factors Walk though. Like, God, I'm trying to think of what it's around. It's in the little
Yeah,
alleyway.
you give me like where a
Those
restaurant
steps, is it near those steps?
Yeah, you talking about the stone stairs of death? It's around that area. I can
Okay.
see the link of it there because we've
I know
done.
what you're talking about.
You got me with true crime and serial killers. I'm there.
Man, they have like these true crime conventions there and stuff that they put on. But he's
Oh
a
my
big John Wayne Gacy fan.
Oh,
And
the
he's
Crown.
got hundreds of paintings from him, actual paintings and all this stuff. I mean, legit people. But we've investigated their place before they kind of did the whole pay to play thing, which is fun. We've done it probably 10 times. And there's always been something crazy happening. If you Google or if you go to like some of our sites and look up videos, we've taken news people there and stuff like that, and they've picked up actual EVPs, the news people, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Become true believers. We had one guy was a non-believer that went with us, and he got not scratched, but like a hole in his back was burnt into his back for just talking smack, and stuff. But Graveface Museum. So the cool thing about the museum is it's like 3 floors, right? But after that, when you're finished, downstairs is like this pinball game room. But all of them are horror related, right? Like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, all that stuff. So it's really cool. He's got another place, Midtown Savannah, called Graveface Records and Tapes, but it's the same thing. But he's got a huge arcade room. He's got any and everything you could think of, horror related. It's just a really cool place. If you guys want to go, I'd be glad to, meet y'all down there or take y'all or whatever so y'all can check it out.
That'd be awesome.
That's one of my favorite places. Graveface Museum is really crazy haunted. The second one, of course, is Mark's house. Mark is a well-known actor. He's a real famous actor, and he lives in Savannah. But one of our team members grew up with him, And whenever we heard about his house and everything, he's like, yeah, y'all come on out. So we investigated. That is one house. Can't pay me. I would not stay in that house by myself. There's no way. There's no way I would spend the night in that house by myself.
Do tell.
Won't do it. Well, we've probably did it 10 or 15 times. I've had a team member that was shoved, and when she fell face first on this tile in the kitchen. Upstairs, I was going to the bathroom, and you have to go through this one bedroom to get to the bathroom. When I came out, rocking chair was rocking, and I said, "Hey, if that's you, make the chair rock faster." And it started rocking like it was going out of town. Right? It was crazy. And so when I was coming out, the lights just started flicking, pling, 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 pling. So I went and told a couple of team members. Well, we come in, and one of the team members said, if this is you, there was 3 canister lights. Make those lights go out. And they went out. And she said, if that was you, make the middle light come on. Now, this is a type of light where if you flick a switch, they all come on. You flick it off, they all go off. There is no 1, 2, 3 switch. The middle light came on. She said, okay, cut the middle light on, cut the other 2 outside on. The middle light went off, the other 2 went on. I mean, the craziest stuff. There's a black shadow figure that is upstairs as well. I don't know what it is. It's a person, but it's not nice, whatever it is. I can tell you that. I will tell you that when I was leaving the 3rd or 4th time we were investigating, I just kind of looked in the rearview mirror there as I was leaving. And there was a little girl in the upstairs bedroom looking out at me. And I was like, yeah, right where the rocking chair was the first time I was there. EVPs that I got there, it was saying tunnel, go to the tunnel. It would say escape and stuff like that. So then after, when we were presenting the evidence, Mark started laughing, and I'm like, what are you laughing at? He goes, there's a tunnel under my house. And we're like, no way. So he takes us to the middle of the floor, and he lifts up this trap door, and there's a tunnel down there. And I'm like, what in the world is this tunnel doing here? He said, well, my dad was this real bad biker dude that, ran guns and stuff and drugs or whatever. And so if the police ever come, he could go down here and escape. And I was like, wow, man, we had no idea. So then we started figuring out his dad was the one that was kind of communicating a lot of this stuff to us. But he wasn't the one being violent. He had a voodoo priest come in and get that one part out of there. But when you walk up to the house, man, you get off balance, you get sick feeling. It's like something is constantly going at you, bam, 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 and hitting you, to where you just get sick walking up to it. Everybody in my team was experiencing that. It's just real wild, man. But those are the 2 places that are the most. We've got about 320 something investigations, not just in Savannah, but everywhere. But the other place I love to go, it's a place right outside Abbeville, South Carolina. It's called the Long Cane Indian Massacre. And what happened is back in 1790, something like that, 1789, 1790, the Cherokees and everything was kind of on a warpath. These settlers were cutting through. They were told not to do it. While they were camped out, the men were out hunting. The Native Americans came in and butchered them, scalped them, left them to die and everything. So we went out there one night and was doing with the SLS camera. We were getting like stick figures that were in like, we used to call it Indian, sitting like Indian style or whatever. And this guy was just beating a drum. And you can, when we play back the recorder, you can hear drums on the actual EVP recorder. Excuse me. We were doing the Estes method there. We had one person way on one side, one person on the other, both of them just crying because they were getting these messages, and they were both repeating what each one was saying. It was the craziest thing.
That's weird.
We've seen Native Americans out there. Just weird stuff, man,
We're going to talk about something real quick, but first I want to shout out Ryan Jones.
Freaking awesome paranormal show.
Freaking awesome paranormal show. Awesome podcast. He's a buddy of ours.
They follow right behind us at 9.
Also, caretaker of the cabin on the 360, which is a hell of a location. If you're ever in Virginia, I highly recommend your team investigate it. Awesome. It's a murder house at the Rancher, Native American history, Civil War history, all kind of history. Crazy place to investigate. Now, back to something. You said something that jumped out and bit me, and I was waiting on you to just take a breath so I could stop.
Yeah, man. And
they
just tell me to shut up sometimes, man.
No, I'm never going to tell you to shut up because your stories are phenomenal.
I love it.
Your stories are great. But you said something that like pulled at me like my shirt, and I was like, please just take a breath so I can stop. You said you pulled out a SLS camera. You are the only other investigator that I talked to that said that you use a SLS camera. I want to hear why you use it, and I want to hear what evidence you caught with it, and we're going to go back and forth for a second with it. Because I'm the only other person that I know that uses one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone else thinks I'm an idiot for using it.
No, we actually have 2, and the reason why we have 2 is
I've got 4.
So that you can back up what you're seeing, right? But
I got 4 because they all are different, and because the batteries die on mine.
They do die so quick.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what type of battery pack you hook it up to, man. It's going to die within 30 minutes.
Yep. But I want to hear why you like it, and I want to hear how you use it. And I'm going to tell you how I use mine. So go ahead.
Yeah. So once we get it on and everything, we kind of start doing our scope, our scans and stuff, our readings. I like using it because ours has a temperature on it as well. But if they're saying something happened at such and such a place, I like to use it over there and scan and make sure there's no trees, there's no chairs, or, so you're not getting any false positives on it or whatever. There's nothing that can make this stick figure point out. So real quick, I was over in Beaufort, South Carolina at the hanging tree. Was there for like 30 minutes. Wasn't getting jacked, man. Wasn't getting nothing. I was freezing my butt off. And I said, hey, well, thank you for your time. You know how you do, hey, Ghost, it's me. It's your boy, It's like, so,
the boy.
Yeah.
Flavor,
yeah. So it's like, I was like, hey, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Maybe tonight wasn't the night, and soon as I kind of said that, the stick figure came down from the tree. His hands were bound and his knees were kind of up and it was swaying. And I thought, oh my God. And it did it for 2 or 3 seconds and stopped. And I tried to get it to do that again, moving it every which, nothing. I tried for 10 more minutes, nothing. So coincidence? Maybe.
No.
But
I don't believe in coincidence.
But I like using them, man, because especially when there's nothing there, right? There's nothing there. And you point that sucker over there and you get nothing. All of a sudden, like the stairs, you see that little figure walking down the stairs and you're hearing doom, doom, doom. Then that to me just validates what you're getting, Now,
well, and didn't you have an experience similar in Gettysburg?
I had 2 experiences.
Sachs Bridge?
Yeah, tell me about them.
I'm so glad you used. So everyone likes to throw shade at the SOS because they can be debunked. They map out this, that, and the third. I hear you. But you can honestly debunk every piece of equipment that we use. If you want to debunk the SOS, you can debunk everything that we use. So the SLS, my 2 experiences with them, I'm in Gettysburg on Sachs Bridge. Now they say that 3 soldiers were hung on the first part of Sachs Bridge you walk into. In Gettysburg, mind you, I've investigated Gettysburg a lot, probably just as much as anywhere else I've investigated. I'm on Sachs Bridge with the SLS. I get nothing. Of course, it maps out the structure, so I'm not aiming common sense. I'm not aiming at the structure. I'm aiming at the wide open tunnel on the bridge, and I'm getting absolutely nothing. I'm just standing there with it still. All of a sudden, I get 3 stick figures hanging from the rafters. Nice. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And they're moving. They're like in a swaying motion.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here like, holy shit, do y'all see this? So we want a public investigation at the time because I do like to support Gettysburg Paranormal. They've treated us phenomenal on their investigations. And I do like to give back to other paranormal teams. I support a lot of paranormal teams because I believe in supporting our community. So we're on a public investigation, even though you can investigate Sachs Bridge on your own. We jump on a lot of public investigations. We're out of town. So anyway, back to the story. I'm aiming. There was nothing. All of a sudden, they pop up. Temperature starts dropping. They're still there. I ask, can you wave at me if you're swinging from the rafters? All three stick figures lift their arm and wave in a motion like that and drop their arm back down. This is sitting here on my SLS camera. That I asked two people who were standing behind me, did y'all just see that? They all saw the same thing I saw. Second time this happened, we're investigating a museum here in Lynchburg. There are cat balls flying off of a banister. They're not just rolling off from being unsteady, they're flying off. I said, let me pull out my SLS camera. There's a wide open hallway with no pattern behind it. All of a sudden, there is a miniature stick figure, like a child height stick figure reaching up. And the same time the cat ball's flying off is when the hand of the stick figure is reaching up. Now, I guess every professional investigator will tell me that it mapped out a watermark or something on the wall behind me, but at the same time the cat ball's rolling off,
you saw the little hand reaching up.
And so, you mentioned cat balls. We use cat balls.
I use them too, and they can be debunked as well, but every investigator uses them. So, I mean, that's why when people tell me, well, I don't use the SLS because they map out furniture, well, don't aim the damn thing at a chair.
Now, with that being said, though, the very first time I picked up the SLS, I'm not versed in the SLS at all. I just wanted to pick it up and be nosy just to pick it up. We were in a museum in Bedford, and I did aim it at a chair, and there was a stick figure sitting in the chair with its legs crossed and arms crossed. And I said, and this was the deceased gentleman's favorite chair, like when he lived there. And so I said to the stick figure that was sitting, you would have had to have seen it. It was a prop. He was sitting very proper. And I said, if this, I can't even remember the gentleman's name now at this point, but I said, if this is so-and-so, can you raise your hand and let me know that you can hear me? And his hand went up. And I did this like 3 or 4 times. And like, although it was a chair, you could clearly see that the stick figure was sitting in a seated position on the chair. It wasn't mapping a standing up stick figure.
See,
so
the stuff like
hey,
that.
Butterfly.
You disprove, it's, I don't know. It's hard, and I get it. People like to be debunkers or whatever, but stuff like that, man,
it's hard.
And I don't knock any other investigator's opinion. So before anybody gets their feelings hurt and gets mad at what I say, I don't knock your opinion. Okay, so don't get upset with me, please. What I'm saying is before you debunk everything, and we all have equipment that we don't like and we don't use. However, I use the SLS because I've seen it do things to which I cannot explain or debunk. And now if I see a stick figure and I tell it to do something and it does it, how can you explain that? That's my thing. If there's something there, if their story was 3 Confederate soldiers were hung on a bridge and I'm aiming at nothing that it can map, and all of a sudden 3 stick figures pop up and I ask them to wave, and all 3 of them simultaneously wave at me, and 3 other people saw it. So it's not just me getting tired. There's no high EMF field to make me hallucinate.
Yep.
Then, because I do measure EMF in every area that I am, please tell me how that happened. If somebody can explain that to me, then,
Yeah.
So you're the only other person I know that used the SLS. So that's why I got excited.
I got really excited.
I don't know if you can see that because that's a green screen, but here's, I don't think you can see it, but see.
Oh, I see the little stick figure right there.
because of the green screen.
Open field, yeah.
Yeah, it's just in the middle of open.
Like dangling.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, look, the
crazy.
trees right there. That is
There's
crazy.
nothing to map.
You know, there's nothing to map there. And
Now, do you record on your SLS? Like, do you hit the record button?
Well, I try not to. What we do is normally we'll have a little cheapy camera, like, you know, one of the little
Or have somebody with their cell phone?
Somebody's behind it. Yeah, or either somebody's with a cell phone while they're doing SLS so that we can save our battery. As soon as you hit that record button on that, you know, it goes, you know.
Last time, yeah,
it wiped my SLS program completely,
and we had to send it back and have them re-download it. So we do that same thing. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
But I want to answer Beth's question. Beth said, "Can y'all sense spirits around people?" I feel like, Beth, if you are in tune,
we just had a conversation about that today.
Yes, I feel like if you are in tune and open-minded, then yes, you have the ability to sense spirits around people. I have just in the past 10 years tried to get more in tune with like my inner, I don't know what you want to call it. I guess inner medium. So I don't identify as a psychic or a medium at all. I want to put that disclaimer out there. But I have been able to, well, in my past, I haven't been able to really pick up on anybody's vibes. And so I would just trust everybody and just believe everything that I was told. And in the last just 10 years alone, I have been able to pick up on people's vibrations and how they are. When we're speaking about spirits, though, once I really got into doing this more frequently, I can honestly answer that question with a yes. And the reason I say that is because I can walk into a location and you get that heavy feeling. Or like Patrick was saying, when you walk into Mark's house, it's like you get sick, you don't feel so good, you're lightheaded, whatever the case may be. But I will honestly say that, yes, I can sense spirits around people and I can sense negative spirits.
You can also sense positive.
I'm more so, though, towards if there is a negative spirit in, and that's why Sean and I work well on a team, because Sean is able to identify spirits in general, and then I'm able to identify negative entities. And I know this is weird, and I might get.
I don't claim to be a medium either.
No, and I know people are going to look down on me for what I'm about to say, but I'm like drawn almost to, if there's a negative entity, I want to know why. Like, why are you a negative entity? Like, are you angry that we're in your house? Are you just angry in general? Did you die an angry person? Are you, like you said, John Wayne Gacy? Like, why are you a negative entity? So I'm more drawn to figuring out, but that's my true crime side. Like I've got, that investigative true crime. I want to know the who, what, why, when, where of everything. So I'm going to answer yes. I think you can honestly answer.
I'm going to say yeah. When we walk, I've driven up to a location before my feet hit the door. I can feel a presence in the location just by looking at it. And that happens the more you investigate.
Yeah.
The more that the more experience you have under your belt. And it also carries out to when you're dealing with people. You can talk to somebody and read their energy just by listening to them, by just catching their vibe off of them. The more you're in tune with yourself and the more grounded you are, the more you pick up on energy is what I'm going to call it. It's an awesome feeling and it's an awesome gift to be able to do, but it also comes with just time in the field. You pick up on things pretty easy.
What do you think, Patrick? Can you sense spirits around people?
Oh yeah. And I'm not a medium, I'm not a psychic, I'm not any of that. I'm not an empath or anything, but I can walk into places and go, ooh, like you can feel it. Sometimes my chest will get heavy, or the hairs on the back of my neck by my ears will really start like tickling. And I was like, okay, I can usually tell, or I can start, I get like a little cold whiff or something that goes by.
Like a gut, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and you're walking in and you're like, okay, you know, something, yeah, you know, and we don't like knowing we like to know very little about where we're investigating. You know what I mean? We like
Right.
to know, okay, just a brief, you know, don't tell me when it was built and all this stuff. I don't need to know all that. All I want to know is the name of one person. Don't tell me there was, you know, 10 different murders. Just I want to hear about the one or something so that I can kind of go in with an open mind. Because once people are telling you all this stuff, then that's stuck in your mind when you're going in, and you're going to feel that when you go in. You're going to be like, oh. But if you go in there not knowing, that's what we like. We like going in not knowing. Today is hard. Everybody knows about this place or that place or whatever, what have
Yeah.
you. But I like walking into these places not knowing, because then you get true feelings and true senses of what's going on. You know, like you might get nothing when you walk into the house, but you get to that back bedroom, you go, oh, something freaky's going on in here. And you're looking around and there ain't no sex swing. You're like, there's something else freaky going on in here. I don't know what it is.
Something we don't know about. That goes back to our conversation. I laugh all the time whenever I go into a location and somebody says, oh yeah, just so you know, there's a ghost cat. And I look at him and I laugh and nobody knows why I'm laughing. And I said, it's because every freaking haunted location has a ghost cat. Every single solitary location has a ghost cat. Beth, you are so welcome. We will answer any questions and talk to you anytime. And if you can think of any other further questions, feel free to reach out. Like, we were there. Hi, Allie. How are you? And Dana had a good point. Sometimes you can just feel a heavy presence.
And back to Beth, that's one reason why we have our podcast. It's not so much to just have a podcast and interview people. It's also for people who have questions they interview and ask. That's how I've learned. Everything I've learned was asking. And that's one reason why I interview other teams. I've learned so much from interviewing other teams, to be honest with you. And I apply things that I've learned from other teams. I've learned things from people who just started investigating. And I've been investigating for 20 years now. And I've learned things from people who just started.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I've applied it to my investigating and have gotten amazing evidence just using things I've learned from new people.
Yep.
And I know we're almost out of time, but I do want to go back to the equipment and ask you, you said you use an SLS. What is your least favorite piece of equipment?
Oh, God. Probably the REM pod.
Damn you.
I'm with you.
Damn it.
Are we related?
Probably the REM pod or the K2.
This is a public service announcement to every paranormal team out there. Screw you all. I love a REM pod.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and either the REM pod or the K2. Sometimes, you know, they're pretty good tools, but
I'm batting O for O.
I love my K2, but I'm with you on the REM pod.
Yeah.
Look, I am such a kid when it comes to investigating. I love a freaking REM pod and a K2 both.
I'll throw a disclaimer. I've seen some amazing evidence with a REM pod.
Tread lightly, sir.
I will tread lightly. I've seen some amazing things happen with a REM pod, but I do not like them. They are too easy. You want to talk? People talk about debunking things. The most easiest thing that every investigator uses is a REM pod. I can take my radio and click it one time and set off every REM pod in the building.
Well, I do agree with that.
I can send you a text message and set off every REM pod in the location.
Yeah, your phone is your worst thing on an investigation when you got REM pods.
I agree.
A truck going down the road hit the CB and set off every REM pod, and everybody thinks it's paranormal.
Well, you know what? Screw you both. I'm just kidding. I understand that, but that goes back to having, like Patrick said, a small team and team of people that you trust. If I ask my team, is everybody in airplane mode, and everybody tells me yes, I should be able to trust the fact that you are. Now, with that being said, when the REM pod does go off,
it's amazing.
I do look at it like, okay, did I ask an intelligent question first? Did I intentionally ask the spirit I'm communicating with, can you can you touch that red light? And then if it goes beep beep, like, or whatever, yes. The one thing I do not use on a REM pod is the temperature control. I do not use that button. I don't click it on. I forget it's there. I don't care if it's there. And the main reason is because I've sat in on an investigation, and it was a public investigation, and kind of like you said in the beginning, you just kind of let people have their fun, like, they're faking evidence, so you just kind of let them go.
I wouldn't say faking.
Not faking, but they had like I know what the temperature looks like when it goes off on a REM, and so I'm sitting there and I'm just like, shut your mouth, shut your mouth, shut your mouth, shut your mouth, because everybody else was getting excited. The one thing that we are not here at Hill City Paranormal is we are not buzzkills.
Yeah, we're not.
If you believe that your equipment is accurate and you are getting evidence, then by golly, I'm going to cheer for you and scream, hoot, and holler too, because I am not a buzzkill. That's one thing I'm not. Also, the other thing that I don't do is I don't down people's personal experiences, because I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I didn't know what I felt. Like Dana said, sometimes you can feel heavy pressure, colder in areas. If you tell me, oh my God, my leg is getting really cold, I think somebody's standing right here, then we're going to go over there and we're going to find out what's standing there.
Yeah.
But the K2 and the REM pod, I use those as like yes, no devices, so to speak. Yep. Like, so if I ask the entity that I am communicating with, can you make that green light go all the way to red, if you can understand what I'm saying? And that K2 meter goes all the way to red, I feel like I'm communicating with something intelligent.
Yep.
Same with the REM pod. I've been in a location where the REM pod just randomly goes off, beep, 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 in the corner. I do not post that evidence. I don't claim it to be evidence. I'm just like, whatever, because I didn't ask you anything. I don't know why you're touching the REM pod. I don't even know if you're touching the REM pod. Like, it's just going off for no reason. But I am a fan of the REM pod and the K2, and nobody else likes the REM pod, and I'm really upset about it. And I'm going to find a team that likes the REM pod. That's my goal.
What's your favorite piece of equipment?
My favorite piece of equipment? Oh, Lord. What do I got? I got, I've got so much. Let me think. What's one of the best ones? To me, the Ovilus is just, I don't know. I was in love with it when I first got it, but I'm like, God, I can't believe I spent all this money on the Ovilus. And it's just one of them things. One of my favorite pieces of equipment. Oh yeah, the Boo Bear.
The Boo Bear.
I've got a Boo Bear, that talks. A lot of times I'll put him in the room, cut him on, and he does the talking in a kid's voice.
Yeah, we've got a Boo Bear.
Boo Bear, what's your name? And just let it go. That's my wife Tiffany right there. So yeah. We call her Moody. Well, I call her Moody. People are like, is she mean?
I'm not calling your wife Moody. That's your job.
That's her maiden name. So her maiden name is Tiffany Moody. So that's why I call her Moody. People think I call her that because, 31 long years.
Oh, congratulations. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She's
Make it 31 more. Let's go.
But you're talking about pieces of equipment. Man, I don't know, man. Sometimes I'll whip out stuff. I tell you what I'm big into right now is the whole Estes method, right?
Yes.
I love doing the Estes method because to me, when you put those, and I bought some of the Delco goggles and everything. I feel like I'm the Mothman when I got them on. But then I just, to me, your senses are more alive and you can't fake it. If I don't hear anything coming through that spirit box, I'm not saying anything, but if I can hear it coming out when, and hopefully somebody's asking the right question that I'm supposedly answering or whatever, then to me, that's a lot of fun, man. I don't really have a favorite. I like using apps on the phone. There's a few that I really like.
Okay. You're redeeming yourself. Keep going. You're redeeming yourself here from the REM pod.
So I love Necrophonic, right? Love Necrophonic.
Well, after this past weekend, I think I'm a fan of Necrophonic.
We're phone app people. A lot of investigators are shooting down the phone apps, and I don't trust them. Listen, we've caught amazing evidence with phone apps. And I'll tell you the most amazing evidence I've got with a phone app, what made me a true believer was when I was at a cemetery, which I got into a heated discussion before with an investigator saying that ghosts don't hang out at cemeteries. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I went to my pastor's grave that baptized me, and I said, if you're my pastor, what church did you preach at? And now this is a phone that has no service on it, and it's in airplane mode, and I don't sit around discussing what church I got baptized at when I was 6 years old. So it said in his voice what church he preached at, and I never say it out loud because I don't know what's listening to me, what device I have on, in case I ever go back just to see if it does it again. But it said the church in his voice through the phone app. Now, who can explain that?
You can.
Now, after this weekend, I'm a fan of
It doesn't
necrophonic.
say it on his tombstone. It's not written anywhere. I don't know how that phone would be able to do that with no service. But it said it on the phone app.
Oh yeah. The reason why I like using necrophonic, I had been using it and was getting good stuff, but I wasn't really sure. We went to Three Bridges Road, which is near Plains, Georgia. I don't know if y'all know where Plains, Georgia. That's where Jimmy Carter's from, ex-president. We investigated his boyhood home, and that place is crazy haunted. But anyways, we went to Three Bridges Road where this young man killed himself. But we were mainly going there because this young lady was unfortunately raped and murdered, and her body was tossed over. And we wanted to kind of set the record straight. So we found some of the relatives of the young man that had, committed suicide. He was so young. He happened to be a paranormal investigator. We had no idea. But anyways, so we get there, and his dad's there, and he's pissed off. His two sisters and his brother's there, and they're all pissed because there's been a couple people come out there without permission and stuff or whatever, and asked all these questions and posted all this stuff on YouTube, which is a big disrespect and a big no-no. Sure. So we looked them up and said, hey, listen, we just out of by chance ran into them. And they said, we'd love to go out there. So they're sitting there and they go, son, if this is you, what's your nickname? And it was dead quiet on the necrophonic. And then one of the sisters said, Bubba, what's your nickname? What do we call you? And it said Bug. And then it said Bug. And all of them started boohoo crying. And me and my team looking at each other, and we were like, is it saying Bug? And they were shaking their head, yes, just a crying. And they said, name Bug. We called him Bug. And then every time they would ask a question, it was answering it. And they said it was right. I mean, it was, so that's how I became a big fan of necrophonic. The other one I like, my buddy turned me on to a couple months ago. It's called Echovox. Have you used that?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
It's a ECHOVOX. It's like $19, but still some of the other money you pay on equipment, right?
I was going to say better than the $600 Ovilus, right?
Yeah. So the Echovox, he turned me on to it. And we were doing it at the Fitzpatrick Hotel in Washington, Georgia. And oh my God, he made a true believer out of me. The stuff it was coming through and the history that we had of the place, it was just answering it. Boom, 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 boom. I was like, wow. So that's the kind of stuff I like. I like using apps, because to me, they're fun and until there's something new coming out. Like I think they had the doorbell or the little ding 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 thing. You know what I'm talking about? I bought that. That joker. I'm like, damn! I could have saved $150 and went and just bought one at the Dollar Tree because it goes off like a million times. It's like ding 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 ding. I'm like, gosh, this thing up.
Back. We have a dead bell, and I am sold on the dead bell. Cut it all the way back to where it's barely on. And then ask the spirit to ring it a couple times and then actually mimic the dinging. So the most compelling evidence that we ever got, it was the first time using the dead bell. Right after it came out, we bought it. We went to a plantation. Belgrove Plantation at Port Conway here in Virginia. And we were in the caretaker's house. And it said that there's a very angry man. The caretaker's just pissed off, doesn't like women. Doesn't like anybody for that matter. There was a point where the owner of Belgrove wouldn't even go into the caretaker's house at all because of the malevolent feelings that she got in there, right?
Yeah.
So we had the bell in the kitchen, and Sean and I had split up. We took 3 people up and 3 people downstairs. And I heard them downstairs say, if the caretaker's here or whoever's here, can you ring that bell 3 times? Ding, ding, ding was the exact words that were said. And that bell went directly to her voice, ding, ding, ding.
Wow.
So, of course, everybody was like, holy shit, right?
Huh.
So then she says, for shits and giggles, can you make it go off 4 times? Ding, 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 ding. And the bell said, ding, 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 and stopped.
That's cool.
And it was like, okay, so that's how you use the dead bell. Because I was with you. We've actually gone through 3 dead bells. We had to return the first 2 because it was just like, I don't know, the first one was getting like really hot.
Yeah.
And I was like, this thing's going to blow up. And then the second time, there was something going on. When it was turned up?
It would just ding like
Constantly,
really fast.
like ding, 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 ding.
The one I got now. Yeah, it's just dinging like crazy.
Yeah. So the third one we got, that's when we learned if you just barely cut it on, then that's when you get like that. I'm still up in the air with the dead bell or anything like electronic like that.
I like that stuff. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If you're having, I tell people, listen, they say, you know, should I buy this or that? I say, listen, if I got it, why don't you borrow it, you know, take it on investigation. And if you like it, then you know, cool. If you don't like it, then you don't spend all that money on something you don't want or don't like.
Right.
You know, and that's what I try to help, you know, other people out. You know, you get burned sometimes on some of them. You know, they forget they have it. You know, it's like, no, I need to
Quotations, right?
Yeah. But you know, it's if you're having fun, man, you know, you're making friends and stuff. I tell people, listen, man, there's enough ghosts out there to go around, right? Like I don't own them, you don't own them. I tell them just do it, but people get so territorial, and it's like, what are we going? Are we going to rumble? You want to race for pink slips, or what do you want? Is this grease lightning? What's going on? You on my turf? You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. But I get it. You know, some people when you come into the little town and that's their, you know, where they're at and whatnot. Hey, I get it, man. We're not trying to step on y'all's toes or anything like that, and we're not debunkers. Not debunkers. Nothing worse than a Debbie Downer on an investigation. Oh, the reason why is this. Well, yeah, it probably is, but you know, don't rain on that guy's parade, man. Let him think it, and then just kind of tell him in private, hey, man, I think it might have been this. Let's go test it, you know, or something.
Right.
While you're filming, you know, it's like, oh man, that's bull. This is what it is. Don't be like you said, a buzzkill. So.
I love that because we were just having that discussion prior to this podcast. I told him, I said, you know, paranormal investigating at the end of the day, the research, the science, and the historical factors behind it are what honestly like keep us going as investigators. But you have got to ultimately have fun with what you're doing, because if it becomes a job or a chore, you won't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we all work 9 to 5s. So the last thing we want to do is get off work and work again.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I don't know. You know, I tell people, listen, you know, I'm not a professional. And when we teach paranormal classes and stuff and everything. I tell them, listen, we're not professionals, but what we are is we're constantly learning. You're going to learn something from me today. And I'm gonna probably learn something from you today. Might not be today, but if we go on an investigation, there might be a way you're doing something. I'll be, you know what? I've never thought about that. Or hey, this is what I like to use when I do this. You're constantly learning, and if you keep an open mind like that, and I tell them, if somebody comes to you and says, "I'm a expert," you know, I'm an expert investigator. I tell them, man, run, because those guys, man, they just looking to take your money. To me, you know, I mean, we charge very small fees. Like $20, you know what I mean, to take the class and stuff, because that's where I like to pull people that want to go on investigations and stuff, because they know how to use the equipment. That I can tell they're from planet Earth. They're not a French fry short of a Happy Meal. You know, I can deal with them and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And they're taking it serious. And that's what we try to do. We were teaching so many classes and stuff everywhere that we took a break. But I'm starting the classes back up. There's a really cool podcast and everything in Savannah called the Underground, Savannah Underground. Those guys are awesome. And I'm going to be at their place teaching some classes. And the next one I'm doing is on June the 8th. I'm not plugging it, but June the 8th, we'll have 2 classes, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And we'll take it on the road. We travel a lot. And you mentioned the second weekend in July. Well, the second weekend in July, we'll be in Washington, Georgia.
Okay.
We'll be at the Fitzpatrick Hotel. We'll be teaching a paranormal class, and we have some great speakers. We've got a great demonologist named Kyle Cobb. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of him. That's going to do your presentation, and we've got tea leaf readers and everything else that we're going to do. It's a lot of fun, man. So we try to give them their money's worth. If we're charging you $30, $40 for a ticket, make sure you get your money's worth,
Right. Right. Yeah. Paranormal investigations can become a money pit. Today it was brought to my attention that I met somebody who has been an investigator for 10 plus years and has never paid for a private investigation. And I was like, well, shit, what team are you on? Because I want to join that team. All these locations, some of their pricing is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them that are ridiculous aren't like the smaller places. They're the asylums and hospitals and things like that. I mean, I heard on one of the podcasts that we did a few weeks back that there's an asylum out there that's doing $1,700 for 5 hours. It takes you an hour and a half to 2 hours to set up your shit.
Let me tell you something. If they charging me $1,700, I better get some. I better see a ghost, his head spinning around, sparks is flying out of his ass, something. You know what I mean? For $1,700, man, But I'm like you, and people say, "Well, Patrick, y'all ain't doing it right. Y'all charging or whatever." Yeah, we're charging. You know why? Because it costs money, gas, hotel, got to eat. People don't realize, man, a hotel is $150. You stay 2 nights, there's $300. And if you're charging $20, $30 to take a class, and you got 10 or 20 people in there, that's covering your gas and everything. You're not making money. People are like, "Oh, y'all are making." No, we're just trying to pay for our gas and rooms. And a lot of times there's 3 of us sleeping in a room. Somebody's got the couch and 2's usually in or blow up mattress or something. We do whatever we can to save money. We bring, bologna sandwiches and stuff.
Well, we keep our Publix. We host a public investigation here in Lynchburg. And we keep our Publix at an affordable price. We do like $35. I typically run promo codes like $5 off the ticket here, ticket there. But what people don't understand is I have to pull team members. They have to come in. They have to help host this. We've got, people that are working off the clock, like you said, gas. And then we put back into the location. We actually donate back a good chunk to the place that we host investigations at, just to preserve the history. So a lot of people don't realize what goes into hosting a public event like that.
What we preach a lot to people too when we go out of town like this is visit the little mom and pop shops, visit the little vendors and things. They're going to tell you the truth. Oh, you need to check out this place. Oh, I got a friend's house that's haunted. Let me give him a call. You will get the best stories and the best opportunity to investigate places people don't know about that way. But you're putting money into the town and they're not like, oh, another paranormal team, here they come. We get special requests, a lot saying, oh man, when are y'all coming back here? When are y'all coming back here? And it's like, between work, like you say, and everything, it's hard, man. It's like, God, that's a 4-hour drive. I'm not sure, but you try to work it out because you want to keep those people happy and having fun.
We got our ghost dog joining us over here.
Well, my cat's outside. One of them. I got
he makes
kitties,
appearances every now and then.
my one kitty, man, he loves getting on. So he's outside. I told my wife Tiffany, I'm like, Moody, leave him outside because he loves to meow in the camera. So
I love it. You should have brought him in.
well, I'm gonna take
Character.
real quick. So you mentioned ghost cats at Fort McAllister in Richmond Hill, which is about 20 minutes from here. The Fort McAllisters were, Sherman took that over there. But one of the casualties there was the mascot cat that was there. There is an actual marker, right? A historical marker about the cat. And then below it is another marker that talks about the ghost. It's a ghost cat. People see it all the time. People will walk in and say, "What happened? Where's that little cat I saw?" And people say, "Well, what did he look like?" And they'll say it, and they'll say, "Oh, come here," and they'll show them the sign. And they're like, "No way." And they're like, "Yep." So
Well, I did research recently on like the Civil War and World War II and how they actually used to have cats during the wars, like in the trenches and stuff like that, because the cats would tone down the rodent problem and things like that from, the mice and rats and things that were trying to come in there and get like the hardtack or anything else that they could get their grubby little paws on.
Yeah.
So they would actually bring cats out, and the amount, and I didn't even know the amount of casualties of cats during the Civil War and World War II both was like an astronomical number.
Yeah.
It
The
was
other
crazy.
reason why they had the cats was a lot of them. You got to remember back then, people were very superstitious, but they carried these cats with them because they ward off evil spirits.
Yep.
That's why the Egyptians had them. That's why they worshipped them. Cats,
Yep.
away the bad spirits and stuff. And yeah, the rodent problem was the number one thing, but the other thing was a lot of them were very superstitious. They believed in ghosts, and when their buddy they were just talking to is no longer there, and he sees him walking around at night, not saying he's evil, but it was one of them things where the cat would help keep them away because freak them out, like what am I doing here, so.
I read that cats absorb negativity, and that's why the fatter the cat, the more negativity that they absorbed. I was like, our cat's elderly now, so she's not as big, but she used to be giant. I'm like, good God, what kind of negativity did she absorb?
So what last question we have for you, what advice do you have given a new paranormal investigator that's wanting to get into our field that we enjoy so much?
So kind of like what I tell them. I tell them, listen, don't expect to go on an investigation and experiencing a haunting, a apparition or a demonic spirit or whatever. If it happens, it happens, but go in with an open mind, right? And if you don't get anything, go back. To me, it's like going fishing. I tell them, you ever go fishing, you get skunked, you don't get nothing. You don't get a nibble, a bite. That bobber just floats around on the water. It doesn't move, but you go back. Sometimes you won't go back to that spot, but you'll go a little further down. Why? Because eventually you're going to catch something. So just keep doing it. Don't go out and spend a bunch of money. The three things that you really need. Number one is your phone. That's going to be your best tool. Number two is a little K2 meter. And the third thing is an EVP recorder, right? Because you got a camera and everything else on your phone. You got an EVP recorder, really. But those three things is what I tell them. And then when you want to start getting into it or whatever, do it that way. Do your research. Do your homework. Don't just join a team. Ask if you can go on an investigation with them and see how they interact. How they interact with each other is going to make up your mind if you really want to hang out with these people or not. Because you got to remember, I tell them, it's not like on TV. I tell them, I've been on TV shows. You sit there forever. And a lot of those guys that go out on these TV shows, they're there 3 and 4 and 5 days. And they cram all that into 20 minutes. First 20 minutes is history and them walking around the town, goofing off. The other 20 minutes is commercial. The last 20 minutes is a little bit of evidence with some hyped up activity. And that's it. But they have to give you something, because if they don't, then you won't watch. That's like that show Finding Bigfoot. I don't know. They need to call that Never Finding Bigfoot.
Oh my God. I tried so hard to get into that show. I can't do it.
Curse of Oak Island. You're like, oh, come on. People are still watching this. you know?
Yeah, I just can't do it. A shout out though to those that hunt Bigfoot. Like shout out to y'all because you have more patience than we do as paranormal investigators. I do agree. It's just like fishing. We've said that multiple times. If your first lure isn't working, let's pull out another lure. Same goes with equipment. If one piece of equipment isn't working, let's try something different.
Yeah. I tell them, listen, man, just have fun. If you're looking to get on TV or likes or whatever, you're doing it for the wrong reason. I turn my likes off and all that. I don't even look at it, man. Comment, somebody will mention me a comment and I'll answer or something. I don't look at that stuff because to me, you could be more natural and down to earth. And I think people kind of respect that. Like with you guys, I might have looked once or twice at my phone, but it was only because I thought it was, my wife. But other than that, hey, you know what I mean? I'll answer any question you got. You might not be what you want to hear, but I'll tell you the truth.
I love it. So if anybody wants to find you on social media, where can they find you?
So we're not real big on social media other than like Facebook, Paranormal Society of Savannah, or they go to our webpage, which I'm reworking because we, got rid of a bunch of team members and stuff. So I'm trying to fix it, but they can go to www.savannahscare.com, or they can go to TikTok, Paranormal Society of Savannah, which I don't know what I'm doing on there. I try. I have no idea how, but I try to post videos and stuff.
TikTok's all about having fun, man. Social media period's all about having fun, at the end of the day. So TikTok's the platform where you can be goofy.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to say is, man, so I've always wanted to go to Gettysburg and never been there. So I really want to go, but I ain't going during the summer, man. I learned my lesson when I went to Bobby Mackey's in the summer. Oh, good God.
It's not as bad up in Pennsylvania. We go to Gettysburg once a month.
Don't go to Gettysburg in the summertime.
Oh, it's not that bad.
But the thing is, how did they do it in those wool coats and everything back then, man? Because the battle was in July. It's like, good Lord. I mean, I don't see how they did it, sweating and whatnot. I sweat. I'm a fat man. I sweat when I swim.
They were also 120 pounds, 130 pounds.
I'm a biscuit shy of 350, so I could imagine somebody walking around in a big old wool jacket. I'd be like, man, I got to take this off, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to go to Gettysburg outside of summer, let us know. Yeah. We got some great locations up there and some great owners of locations that we're really close with. So we can definitely set something up for sure.
How far away are y'all from Lake Shawnee?
Oh God, I Googled this and I wanted to do it and they went up on their pricing. But I want to say last time I Googled it was like 4.5 hours, maybe.
Okay.
5 hours.
That's about 8 or 9 hours from us. But we had a trip planned for May, but June, but my nephew's getting married, so we had to cut it off. So now we're talking about going in October. But we're talking about going during the week or something. But it's only like $90, I think, a person. Now you can go as a team, or you can go with a couple of people and everything. But according to them, you're not going to run into the same people. And during the week is less crowded, anyways. There's not that many, but they kind of keep them at a minimum number and stuff. So,
are you talking about like hopping on like a public investigation?
This is Lake Shawnee, the amusement park.
The one in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I got to check that out. I didn't know it was $90 a person. Yeah. Like when I looked at the private investigation pricing, and that's pretty crazy.
The private one, they tell you can have up to like 12 people and X amount of dollars. So, but it's so big and wide open, and the guy's real cool. He'll tell you, listen, man, we sell firewood. You can set up camp. You can bring an RV. You can bring your tent. You can bring whatever you want. You can have a fire. You can cook out. You can do whatever you want there. So, really cool. And he gives you he gave me a lot of tips. He was like, over by the swings and stuff, there's a lot of children over there and Native Americans at such an area. You might want to bring some gifts, some little toys for the kids, Native Americans, bring some tobacco or whatever, balloons or whatever, for the kids and stuff. So he was really cool. Now he will tell you there's like a 93-year-old man that you will communicate with to get to him. He helps out. He's a big help. And the guy will tell you, hey, listen, man, we keep our prices low because all we want to do is pay the taxes on this place and everything. So $90 ain't bad.
That's not bad.
If you want to do a private though, yeah, you're going to spend about $600.
Yeah, it was up in the money. I remember looking.
100, yeah.
Awesome. Well, you can bring the teddy bear, Tiffany, to Lake Shawnee.
Oh no, she's cool. Oh, Moody. Now here's the thing. Sometimes I do, like, I'm starting up my podcast, but I would just, back when COVID first hit, I was just doing stuff because we were stuck in the house, and I love Bigfoot. And we would watch Finding Bigfoot and everything. And she was like, why do they yell like that? I'm like, I don't know. So she would do the Bigfoot yell during the things, and people would log on, not to see or hear me talk. They were like, when's Moody going to do a Sasquatch yell? When's Moody going to do? I'm like, good God. So then it became the Moody Show. So she was, and she don't even sound like Sasquatch. She sounds like a wolf.
I'll tell you what, we did a podcast. If you look back on our podcast, we did a podcast with the Sasquatch hunter.
Yeah.
And we actually did 2. So part 1 was interview. Part 2, we went live Sasquatch hunting during our podcast. So that was definitely interesting.
Cool.
So yeah,
I have enjoyed this. Thank y'all very much.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, Patrick. I really do. And Tiffany, not Moody, Tiffany, thanks for joining us too. And Mr. Welsh, we appreciate whenever the whole family joins. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Again, if you guys want to look up Paranormal Society of Savannah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to send us a message, Hill City Paranormal or HCP Paranormal Podcast. Ugh, that's a mouthful. We're also, he's going, geez. We're also on TikTok, and feel free to reach out.
Yeah. And same here, man. Thank y'all so much. Once I get mine up and running, I'd love to have y'all on. And
yeah,
we talk about all kind of stuff, man. Paranormal wise, we talk about, spooky dookies and everything, man. So
I love it. Just send us a message. We'll be on there.
That sounds good.
All right, everybody. I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're Hill City Paranormal and Patrick with Paranormal Society of Savannah. I hope everybody has a wonderful night.
Stay spooky.